A very pleasant morning to one and all present here. Imagine your ideas, ignite your dreams, invent your thoughts, inspire people around you. With this quote in this pleasant morning, we welcome you all for our 2-week certification course on MEMS organized by Center for Micro Nano Design and Fabrication, CMNDF, in association with Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering, Savitha Engineering College. Savitha Engineering College, established in the year 2001, an autonomous institution which follows the Finland-based education model, and we march towards less is more concept. Our college makes the students job ready by providing Industry 4.0 ready curriculum, which imparts the 21st century skills, project-based learning integrated with subjects, improves the student skill set, and makes our learners to be the best, which is the motto of our college. The Department of ECE was established in the year 2001. Our vision is to develop the department into a state of art with center of excellence in electronics and communication engineering education on par with global standards. The Department of ECE has well experienced faculty of proven ability and diverse specialization. The faculty actively involves themselves in research in the fields of robotics, VLSI, MEMS, image processing, and embedded systems. Now, I would like to brief about CMNDF. The Center for Micro Nano Design and Fabrication, CMNDF, was established in the year 2012 that brings the technology and applications of micro electromechanical systems, MEMS, micro and nano fabrication, micro and nano electronics, electrochemical, 3D printing, bioengineering and processing, and computational modeling together with researchers working on integrated circuit and system on-chip design to create smart micro and nano systems. Labs associated with CMNDF are Savitha MEMS Design Center in collaboration with IntelliSense USA, Wet Lab, Microfluidics Lab, Prototype Processing Lab, and Nanosynthesis Lab. Under CMNDF, nearly 25 papers were published in reputed journals and organized international conferences and workshops in collaboration with the Department of ECE, Savitha Engineering College. Presently, 4 members pursuing PhD under CMNDF, and our team includes 10 researchers from various disciplines who focus to work with innovative thinking to bring up the groundbreaking achievements in the field of microfluidics, healthcare, and energy harvesting. Yes, with that. Now I would request Dr. T. Arvind Sir, Associate Professor, EC Department, to introduce our guest of the day. Please, sir.
Hello, good morning everyone. Hope I am audible.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I'm so glad to introduce the resource person of the day, Ms. Ritu Das, for the session Materials for MEMS. Ms. Ritu Das completed her Bachelor of Engineering in Computer Science from GRKIST, Jabalpur. She did her Master of Technology in Nanotechnology from NIT Bhopal and her MS in Engineering from Center for Nanoscience Engineering, CENS, IISc, Bangalore. She is currently working as a project associate in Professor M.S.R. Rao's lab at the Department of Physics, Material Science Research Center, Indian Institute of Technology, Madras. Her current research focus is on thin films, fabrication, characterization, and applications via different physical vapor deposition techniques. Throughout her career, she worked extensively on RF sputtering techniques and has deposited various metals, alloys, metal oxides, and nitrides for different applications as protective coatings, interlayers, diffusion barriers, and electrodes as well. Presently, she is working on antibacterial coating on face masks and on other commonly exposed surfaces which spot on the need for the hazard. We welcome you, ma'am, for the session today, and thank you so much. Nancy, ma'am, over to you.
Thank you, sir. Before the session, we would like to convey certain instructions to the participants. There's an announcement that it is mandatory to join the Google Classroom using the link and class code, which is given in our WhatsApp group. We find few of the participants have not yet joined our Google Classroom. So we'd like to announce about the steps for joining the Google Classroom. Step 1, log into your mail ID and type classroom.google.com in a new tab, or download the app Google Classroom in your mobile. So step 2 is at the top right corner, click on plus to join the class. And step 3, enter the class code WBMGXZL that we will post in the chat box also, and also in the WhatsApp group. So participants, please follow this procedure and please join our Google Classroom. Yes, now it's the time to see the pre-recorded video of our guest today. So Arvind sir, can you please play? So can you please increase the volume?
Nancy?
Ma'am.
Is it audible?
No, ma'am.
Whether you can see the video?
Yes, ma'am, I can see the video. That voice is not audible, ma'am.
Okay. Aravind, could you please share the screen?
Just a minute, ma'am.
Yeah.
Participants, please stay connected. Sorry for the inconvenience. There was some volume disturbance over here.
You let them know it's a pre-recorded video.
Yes, ma'am.
We can also share the same YouTube link.
Shall I post the link in the chat box, ma'am?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
If at all, if it is not clear, they can actually look at their YouTube video.
Good morning, everyone. I am Ritu Das.
Yes, sir. Audible. Yes, sir. We can proceed.
Even then, you post the link in the chat box, Nancy.
Sure, ma'am.
So, just to have an idea how tiny they are, this is a scale frame where we can say 1000 micrometer is 1 millimeter. That means 1000 part of millimeter is the micrometer. So we are dealing with those tiny structures. Modes are broad classification of system which includes numerous process, technology, material, and so on. Even the materials and names are quite large in number, including semiconductor, metal, alloy, polymer, composite, oxide, nitride. I will be talking about selected section of material which are commonly used in names. Before starting with material, I would like to introduce few processes that are commonly used in names processing. Isotropic etching, that is non-directional etching used in bulk micromachining. Isotropic etching, which is directional etching, means certain plane of material has different etching rate than other. So that plane, say 110, will etch faster than 111 plane. Reactive ion etching, this is the combination of chemical and physical etching. Plasma is inclusive of highly reactive species, including iron, neutral ion, atoms, etc., which are incident and targeted area to be etched. They are highly directional, and a large portion of the metal can be etched out through this process. These are used to form deep trenches, as you can see in the SN image. Fluorinated and fluorinated compound along with hydrogen, helium, and oxygen are used as reactive etching. Now, bulk micromachining. That, as name suggests, bulk micromachining is processing and etching the substrate three-dimensionally. Selected etching inside substrate, that is sigma line, has been done. So as you can see in schematic, there is a silicon wafer that has been patterned and then doped with boron that is flipped, bound to the glass, and unwanted area has been removed. The end product is boron doped cantilever or suspended on glass. Surface micromachining. There is surface micromachining as a sequence of thin film deposited on the surface. Those thin films are then processed and form various structures. In the schematic, we can see on silicon substrate as a base, we have deposited silicon oxide and the polysilicon structure, and then we have etched out the silicon oxide, and the end is the cantilever.
Connected. 10. Now this is low pressure chemical vapor deposition. This is the technique where most of the thin films are deposited in main. So this is work on. In this process, low pressure of say 100 to 500 millitons are used. The source gas is saline, dichlorosaline and ammonia according to the end product, and the taking temperature varies from 300 to 1000 degrees Celsius. The glass tube, the vapor to be deposited is placed in the metal. Then the reactive gas will be introduced and castrated with the heating coil. Then the process starts and the gas.
Sorry for the interruption. Yes, sir. You can start from the beginning so that now, just now the volume has become audible. So you please start from the beginning, sir.
Okay, so I'll do it from the beginning now.
Good morning, everyone. I am Ritu Das. This is a series on mains. I will be talking about materials from mains. Mains are acronyms for microelectromechanical systems. They are the miniaturized mechanical electromechanical elements. Mains device can vary from 1 micron to several millimeter. So just to have an idea how tiny they are, this is the scale frame. Here we can see 1000 micrometers, 1 millimeter. That means 1000 part of millimeter is the micrometer. So we are dealing with those tiny structures. Mains are broad classification of systems which includes numerous process, technology, material, and so on. Even the materials from mains are quite large in number, including semiconductors, metal, alloy, polymer, composite, oxide, nitride. I will be talking about selected section of materials which are commonly used in mains. Before starting with material, I would like to introduce few processes that are commonly used in mains processing. Isotropic etching, that is non-directional etching used in bulk micromachining. Isotropic etching, which is directional etching, means certain plane of material has different etching rate than other. So that plane, say 110, will etch faster than 111 plane. Reactive ion etching. This is a combination of chemical and physical etching. Plasma is inclusive of highly reactive species, including iron, neutral ion, atoms, etc., which are incident and targeted area to be etched. They are highly directional, and a large portion of material can be etched through this process. These are used to form deep trenches, as you can see in the image. Fluorinated and fluorinated compound along with hydrogen, helium, and oxygen are used as reactive agents. Now, bulk micromachining. That, as name suggests, bulk micromachining is processing and etching the substrate three-dimensionally. Selected etching inside substrate, that is exhibit line, has been done. So as you can see in schematic, there is a silicon wafer that has been patterned and then doped with boron that is split, bound to the glass, and unwanted area has been removed. The end product is boron doped cantilever suspended on glass. Surface micromachining. There is surface micromachining as a sequence of thin film deposited on the surface. Those thin films are then processed and form various structures. In the schematic, we can see on silicon substrate as a base, we have deposited silicon oxide and then polysilicon structure, and then we have etched out the silicon oxide, and the end is the cantilever here. Now this is low pressure chemical vapor deposition. This is the technique where most of the thin films are deposited in main. So this is worked on. In this process, low pressure of say 100 to 500 milliliters are used. The source gas is saline, dichlorosaline, and ammonia according to the end product, and the burning temperature varies from 300 to 1000 degrees Celsius. The cross tube, the vapor to be deposited is placed in the material. Then the reactive gas will be introduced and castrated with the heating coil. Then the process starts and the gas will react and it will deposit on the vapor to have a thin coating. So now, these are the materials I will be talking about. They are classified as silicon-based materials where single crystalline, polycrystalline, amorphous silicon, rods are included. Then germanium-based material where polycrystalline germanium, silicon germanium. Then metals, which includes numerous metals. Then harsh environmental semiconductor, which includes harsh environmental semiconductor that are silicon carbide and diamond. Then gallium arsenide, indium phosphate, and related materials. And dielectric material and advanced polymers. Single crystalline silicon is the primary material used for main device. For surface micromachining, single crystalline substrate used as a mechanical platform on which device structure has been fabricated. Single crystalline silicon is relatively easy to bulk micromachine as potassium hydroxide and tetramethyl ammonium hydroxide. Etching rate is different for 100 and 111 plane than the 11 plane. In contrast, isotropic etching exhibits no selectivity to the various system plane is used to remove the damaged surface, creation of the surface and patterning. Reactive ion etching is commonly used for dry etching, where the chlorinated and fluorinated compound are used along with oxygen, hydrogen, and helium to etch out the material. The application are in piezoresistive pressure sensor accelerometer, and mechanical resonator. Now polycrystalline and amorphous silicon. Surface micromachining in this process, where a sequence of tungsten often different material is deposited by various CVD and PVD techniques and then selectively etched to form a main structure. Polysilicon is usually deposited by low pressure CVD with a temperature of 580 degrees to 650 degrees and pressure of 100 to 400 millitorr. So below this temperature, say 570 the constant temperature, the film will be amorphous. We can tune the electrical property by dosing polycrystalline silicon with boron and phosphorus. That is relatively easy to dose, as in polycrystalline there are again boundaries that are the center to nucleate. The polycrystalline applications are in mechanical property testing structures, thermal actuator, electroscopic, accurate accelerometers, gyroscopes, as is certified by these skills. Now, porous silicon. It is produced at room temperature by electrochemical etching of silicon in etches. The density of holes in the surface are controlled by applied current density. High current density leads to high density holes and smooth edge surface. For low current density, the hole density is also low. As you can see the schematic, where the silicon is subjected to the etches and then circuit is closed. You can see when current is passed, this silicon is reacts with etches and it's creating the hole. So single and polycrystalline silicon can be converted into porous silicon. Silicon dioxide. This is the main layer, sacrificial layer that has been used extensively in MEMS device. This is being created by thermal oxidation of silicon at temperature of 900 to 1200 degrees Celsius in the presence of oxygen or steam. This will create a thickness of 2 micrometer oxidation film on the surface. So for thickness more than 2 micrometers, low pressure CVD technique has been used. Now, quartz is the crystalline form of silicon oxide. It also has various applications for optically transparent, it is piezoelectric, electrical insulating and interesting properties are made. So silicon dioxide has been used for sacrificial layer for surface micromachining and passivation layer for device. Silicon nitride is widely used in MEMS device as a diffusion barrier and passivating layer. Two deposition techniques are used to deposit silicon nitride, that is low pressure CVD and plasma enhanced CVD. Low pressure CVD, however, resistive to chemical attack, make the material right choice for silicon bulk and surface micromachining. Coupling deposits with the plasma enhanced CVD are generally non-stoichiometric and they are limited because of high etching rate in etches. The applications are electric isolation, surface passivation, etch masking, and mechanical material typical for membrane and encapsulation packaging. Now coming to germanium-based materials. Germanium-based material like silicon, germanium has been used long back for earlier transistor and strain gauge. Extensively used in surface micromachining due to low process temperature and also compatible with silicon. Now, polycrystalline germanium thin film can be deposited by low pressure CVT at temperature lower than 325 degrees Celsius on silicon germanium and silicon germanium substrate. Germanium does not nucleate on silicon oxide, enabling it to use as sacrificial mold. The residual stress in germanium can arrest completely when annealed at 600 degrees for 30 seconds. Polygermanium are highly resistant to etch from KOH, enables us to fabricate polygermanium membrane. Polysilicon has comparable mechanical properties as silicon, having Young's modulus of 32 GPa, which can be used as sacrificial layer on silicon oxide by using appropriate etchant. The application of polycrystalline germanium are transistors and alloys as a sacrificial layer. Polycrystalline silicon germanium. This is deposited by low pressure CVT and rapid thermal CVT at temperature 450 and 625 respectively. Depending on the concentration of germanium, the pulsing temperature may vary. More germanium, lower the temperature. Polycrystalline germanium silicon can also be doped with boron and phosphorus to tune its electrical properties. Composition of silicon germanium in the film governs the property of the film as the microstructure, conductivity, and residual stress. Combination of polygermanium silicon material are optimal for surface micromachining. With etchant hydroperoxide H2O2, polygermanium etching rate is 0.4 micron per minute, while silicon germanium with germanium has lower 80%, has no effect on 40 hours. These can be used in integrated MEMS and micro machine thermal pillars. Now, coming to the metals. Metals are used as etch mask in device fabrication as well as interconnect synthesis elements in microsensors and microactuators. Metal thin film can be deposited using wide range of techniques, say thermal evaporation, sputtering, CVD, and electroplating. In thermal evaporation, the material is resistively heated to its melting point and is evaporated and deposited condensed on the substrate. And sputtering, high potential difference applied between the substrate and target to be deposited. Inert gas, example, argon is introduced which ionized creates plasma. Positive argon ion hits to the target, enables the target material to be ejected and deposit on the substrate. CVT. In this coating process, uses thermally induced chemical reaction at the surface of a heated substrate. Precursors are gas forms which thermally react, decompose, and deposit on the substrate leaving byproduct as a gas form. Electroplating. Here, the electric current is passed through the two electrodes dipped with electrolyte. When connected to the battery of power supplies to form a circuit. Electrolyte gets oxidized and reduced on the cathode to form thin layer of the metal. A wide range of metals are used in MEMS, that is, autoscope. I am discussing selected metals. Aluminum and gold are extensively used metal in microfabrication, electronics, and electro-micromachining, and electromechanical devices as interconnect packing material. Gold also used as electromechanical switch in RF MEMS. Bulk micromachining of metal is developed for MEMS that is thin, having high fracture toughness, is a great biocompatible and more passive to the oxidation than silicon. Now shape memory alloys. Metallic alloy that exhibits shape memory effect has potential in micro actuators. Shape memory alloy effect relies on reversible transformation from ductile phase to stiff phase on application of heat. The reversible phase change allows the shape memory effect to be used as actuation mechanism since material change shape during the transformation. High force and strength can be generated with reasonable power input. Shape memory alloy are used in names based on microfluid device actuation and as micro valve and micro pump. Nickel, cycling nickel is among the most popular shape memory alloy owing to its high actuation work density. Nickel iron for magnetic actuation, a thick magnetic layer of 10 to 100 micron deposited by electroplating is to generate sufficient magnetic field to generate desired actuation. Now harsh environmental materials that are silicon carbide. Silicon carbide is a material for harsh environments. They are electrically and mechanically stable at high temperature. Silicon carbide are polymorphic materials having structure of cubic, hexagonal, or rhombic. They can be doped to create N-type and P-type materials. Once fluorine is high in range of 300 to 450 gigapascal. Silicon carbide thin films are grown or deposited by low pressure CVD. It precursor selenium and CH3H8 at the high temperature of 1500 to 75 degrees. Polycrystalline silicon carbide, versatile material for silicon carbide name, then a single crystal counterpart. Polycrystalline silicon carbide can be deposited from a variety of substrates such as polysilicon, silicon oxide, silicon nitride. Amorphous silicon carbide can be deposited at even low temperatures by phase-assist CVD. Micromolding, an advanced process of patterning silicon carbide film on sacrificial layer structure that does not essentially deposit silicon carbide micromortars. Silicon carbide can be worked in very much harsh environments and also with high frequency mains and range devices. Diamond. Diamond are the natural heart of ideal material for high varying environmental electronics. It has large electronic pair gap and easily doped with boron to create conductivity. Diamond lanes currently restricted to polycrystalline diamond and amorphous materials since single crystalline diamond wafer are not yet commercialized. Polycrystalline diamond films can be deposited on silicon and silicon oxide substrate by CVD. Fabricated using bulk micromachine silicon molds to pattern structure. Silicon molds are fabricated using conventional micro machining and fill the polycrystalline diamond deposited by hot filament activity. Activity process uses hydrogen and methane precursor at the substrate temperature of 650 to 900 degrees Celsius at a pressure of 50 millitorr. Diamond films have high residual stress gradient, rough surface morphology as a result of high saturated large grain polycrystalline film. The rough surface of morphology degrades the pattern surface, resulting in rough sidewall and edge structure and rough surface of the film deposit over the flare. Unlike polycrystalline silicon and silicon carbide, a post-deposition process is not technically feasible for diamond due to extreme hardness. Development of an ultra-crystalline diamond UNCD film that exhibits a much smooth film surface that compatible diamond film grow using conventional method is solution for this. Another alternative deposition method that is proven to be well suited for diamond main based on film laser deposition. The process is performed in high vacuum chamber and uses pulsed diamond laser to enable precise target. The material from projected film deposits on the substrate, which is kept at room temperature. The backbone gas composite of nitrogen, hydrogen, and argon can be introduced to adjust the deposition pressure and film property. The application of diamond remains are microfluid application component of reflective optics, laser to fiber alignment, and power device cooling structures. Now coming to the next class of material, that is germanium arsenide, indium phosphate related 3,5 compounds have favorable piezoelectric and optoelectric properties, high piezoresistive constant. High polar quality single crystal vapor are commercially available as a well-developed monoelastic chemical vapor deposition, metal organic chemical vapor deposition. Molecular beam epitaxy (MBE) process for epitaxial layer of gallium arsenide and its alloy. Micromachining of gallium arsenide is relatively straightforward. In addition to use epitaxial layer as edge stop, iron implant method can be used to produce edge stop at gallium arsenide. A burnt electrochemical etch method used as H2O to export platinum electrolyte solution at 440 degrees with 100 millisecond pulse is sufficient to selectively remove N-type gallium arsenide about 3 micrometer per minute. Applications are device fabrication use. These methods include combo drive electron resonance structure, pressure sensors, thermopolar sensors, transducer-based sensor, and actuators in addition. Micromachining of indium phosphate closely resembles the techniques used for gallium arsenide. The structure, mechanical stiffness, and hardness of indium phosphate is similar to gallium arsenide. Like gallium arsenide, single crystalline vapor of indium phosphate are readily available, and thermal quarterly lattice match alloys such as indium gallium arsenide, indium aluminum arsenide, indium gallium arsenide phosphate can be used as either edge stop or sacrificial layer depending on the edge chemistry. For instance, indium phosphate structure layer deposited on indium aluminum arsenide sacrificial layer can be removed using agent containing H2O2 and water. In addition, gallium arsenide and indium phosphate materials such as indium arsenide can also be micromachined into the device. Applications are multi-air gap filter, bridge structure, etc. Coming to the ferroelectric material, piezoelectric mechanical stress produced are polarized and convection voltage induced polarization produced are mechanical stress. Piezoelectric material, important role in MEMS technology for sensing and mechanical actuation application. Recent work in MEMS has focused on development of ferroelectric compounds such as PZT, lead zirconate titanate, because of compound have high piezoelectric constants that results in high mechanical transactions. Like silicon, PZT films can be patterned using dry etching technique based on chlorine chemistry. PZT has successfully deposited in tungsten sand using structural HFCVD storage gel process and also PLD technique. Six film printed technology of PZT have developed to produce thick film in excess of 1000 micrometer. Now coming to the last section, that are the polymer materials. Polymides. Polymers are important class of materials used in conventional main process. It can be acquired as bulk and can be processed as film by spin coating. It can be etched by dry etching technique and processed at high temperature. Used where the inertness and flexibility are important parameters as microfabrication. Shear stress sensors also used as sacrificial layer due to the chemical inertness in it can withstand to 400 degrees Celsius temperature. SU8 is a negative photoresist. It is high aspect ratio, UV sensitive resist, chemical coating deposit with a thickness of 500 micrometer. Due to favorable chemical property, enable it to use as a mold for electroplating structure and structure material for microfluid. Bonding layer material for vapor bonding, because the bonding strength of this material is very high for 100 micrometer thickness. Parallel emerging polymer material benefiting due to its biocompatibility. It is deposited by CVD at room temperature. Due to its conformal nature, it is used as prefabrication surface in silicon micrometals. Low stress nitrogen membrane particle filter. It serves as strengthening and protective coating. Now, last section, that is liquid crystal polymer. High performance thermoplastic currently being used in printed circuit board and electronic packaging application. It is mechanical flexible, electrical insulating, chemical durable, and imperable resistive to moisture. Liquid crystal polymer can be bound to cells or to the other substrates such as glass or silicon by thermal lamination. It can be etched by oxygen plasma and it is highly resistive to the etchers and many metal etchants. Moisturizer absorbs less than 0.02% make it well stable for packaging material. It is used as an encapsulation for various RF main applications, RF main capacitor, and can be used as cantilever. So with this, I will be summarizing my talk. So I have been talking about various materials, starting with single crystalline silicon that are high quality electronic materials, selective and acetate etching that is used as bulk micromachining and UV resistive sensing. Then polycrystalline doping of polycrystalline silicon is easy and also it is used as a sacrificial layer. That is used as surface micromachining. Then silicon dioxide, that is insulator, etched by etches and compatible with polycrystalline. Silicon nitride that is insulating, chemically resistive, mechanically stable, and can be used at elevated temperatures. Polycrystalline germanium, polycrystalline silicon germanium, gold and aluminium. They are conductive films, flexible and deposition technique and used in various deposition techniques. Bulk titanium have high strength, corrosion resistance. Nickel iron are magnetic alloy. Titanium, nickel is shape memory alloy. Application in thermal actuation. When silicon carbide, diamond, they are electrically and mechanically stable at high temperatures, chemically inert, having high Young's modulus. Gallium arsenide, indium phosphate, indium arsenide, and lithium materials that are wide banded application prone on later ternary compounds. PZT are piezoelectric materials. Alumide are chemically resistant high temperature polymers. SU8 are thick negative photoresist. Ceramic are biocompatible polymers deposited at room temperature. At the end, liquid crystal polymers that are chemical resistant and low temperature permeable insulating. So these all are material used
Dear participants, I hope the video has been over. Okay. So dear participants, we hope this video session would have made you to familiarize about material formats. Our guest of the day, Ms. Ritu Das, Project Associate, Material Science Research Center, Indian Institute of Technology, Madras, have joined with us now. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
We welcome you on behalf of SEC Center for Micro Nano Design and Fabrication Center, ma'am. We are very happy to have you with us today.
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity.
Yeah, ma'am, we have got nearly 60 participants join with us today. So all are very eager to have an interactive session with you. Yeah, ma'am. Do you have anything else to share, add on apart from the content shared in the video, ma'am?
I just share one link of video processing. Maybe I have shared with
Yes, ma'am, microfabrication video.
Yes.
Yeah, ma'am, yes. So can we proceed with that now?
Yeah. Maybe after that we can have it.
Okay, ma'am, sure, ma'am. So participants, next we have got a small video about the introduction to microfabrication via photolithography. So let's watch this video now. After this, we will have a live interactive session with Ms. Ritu Das. Okay. Yes, video, please.
The increased need for portable devices with extremely small sample volumes has driven the miniaturization of devices called biomems. Biomems are produced via microfabrication, a process of fabricating microscale structures using semiconductor technology. A microfabrication technique called photolithography is often used to pattern complex patterns onto a substrate using light. This video will introduce the process of photolithography, demonstrate the technique in the laboratory, and provide insight into some applications where photolithography is used. Semiconductors, namely silicon wafers, are typically used as a substrate in microfabrication via photolithography. First,
Nancy, I think Aravind sir has got a power cut.
Okay, ma'am.
Probably give the session to Ritumam. Ritumam, please.
Hi.
Yes, you can share whatever you would like to share with our participants.
I think that video didn't play completely.
Uh, Ma'am, could you share the same video from your side, ma'am? No problem.
Biomems are produced via microfabrication, a process of fabricating microscale structures using semiconductor technology. A microfabrication technique called photolithography is often used to pattern complex patterns onto a substrate using light. This video will introduce the process of photolithography, demonstrate the technique in the laboratory, and provide insight into some applications where photolithography is used. Semiconductors, namely silicon wafers, are typically used as the substrate in microfabrication via photolithography. First, the wafer is cleaned to remove organic contaminants. Then a substrate layer is formed on top. For example, silicon dioxide is formed using thermal oxidation. To begin photolithography, a layer of a viscous UV reactive substance called photoresist is spin-coated to a uniform thickness on the substrate. The photoresist-coated substrate is then exposed to intense UV light through a precisely patterned stencil called a photomask. Two types of photoresist exist. First, positive resist becomes soluble upon exposure to UV light. In contrast, the exposed regions of negative resist become cross-linked and are insoluble. The soluble part of the photoresist is then removed using a developer solution, leaving behind patterned photoresist and exposed substrate regions. The pattern is then etched into the exposed silicon dioxide layer. A dry etching technique, called reactive ion etching, uses chemically reactive plasma to remove material deposited on the wafer. Alternatively, a wet etch, such as hydrofluoric acid, can be used to etch silicon dioxide. The etching technique will vary depending on the material being processed. Finally, the remaining photoresist is removed, leaving a precisely patterned silicon microstructure. This structure can then be used directly or as a mold for the fabrication of electronic and microfluidic devices. Now that the basic procedure of photolithography has been explained, let's take a look at how to perform the procedure in a cleanroom environment. First, the photomask that will be used to create the pattern is designed and ordered from a manufacturer. Then, the photolithography process is performed in a cleanroom, which routinely filters air in order to minimize dust contamination. First, a silicon dioxide layer is formed on the silicon wafer surface using thermal oxidation. Once the wafer is oxidized, it is placed on a spin coater chuck. Photoresist is poured into the center of the wafer until it covers most of the wafer surface. The photoresist is then spin-coated to create an even, thin coating. Next, the coated wafer is soft-baked on a hot plate to evaporate any solvent and solidify the photoresist. The wafer is loaded into the mask aligner containing the specific photomask for the pattern desired. Then, the wafer is exposed to UV light through the photomask and then hard-baked to set the developed photoresist. The soluble regions of photoresist are removed using a developer solution specific to the type of photoresist used. Finally, the wafer is rinsed and dried, leaving the patterned photoresist on the wafer. Following photolithography, the pattern is etched into the top layer of silicon dioxide using deep reactive ion etching. After etching, the remaining photoresist is removed by soaking the wafer in an appropriate photoresist remover. The wafer is then rinsed with isopropanol and acetone and dried under nitrogen. Next, a Piranha cleaning solution is prepared to remove excess organic residues. Piranha is a mixture of concentrated sulfuric acid and hydrogen peroxide. This solution must be used in an approved, well-ventilated hood with proper training. piranha is extremely dangerous and can be explosive. The wafer is submerged in piranha for several minutes and then rinsed with water. Finally, the wafer is rinsed with acetone and methanol and dried with nitrogen gas to leave the clean final structure. Microscale patterns generated by photolithography are used to create a wide range of BioMEMS devices. For example, photolithography can be used to create metal patterns on a substrate, such as a silicon wafer or glass slide. Instead of etching away the top layer of the substrate, metal is deposited on top of the photoresist pattern using sputter coating or metal evaporation. In this example, a chromium adhesion layer is coated on a glass slide, followed by a gold layer. After deposition, the photoresist is removed to expose the gold patterns. The gold patterns can then be used for the controlled assembly of cells or as electrodes for bioelectronics. Photolithography can also be used to create polymer micropatterns. For this, a layer of polymer is deposited on top of the silicon wafer prior to photolithography. Like with the silicon dioxide layers on silicon wafers, the polymer pattern exposed by the developed photoresist is etched away. The remaining photoresist is then removed to leave only the patterned polymer. The patterned polymer can be used to induce controlled cell growth on or around the polymer islands. While photolithography is limited to microscale, nanoscale patterns can be fabricated using a focused ion beam, or FIB. FIB uses a beam of ions to ablate or deposit materials on a surface in a precise pattern. In this example, pre-patterned gold electrodes were functionalized with molybdenum crystals. Then, nanoscale platinum bridges were deposited using FIB to connect the crystal to the gold electrode. These structures can then be used to improve and further miniaturize BioMEMS devices. You've just watched Jove's introduction to microfabrication via photolithography. You should now understand the basic photolithography process, how it is performed in the laboratory, and some ways that the technique is used in the fabrication of BioMEMS devices. Thanks for watching.
Thank you, ma'am. So now let us go for this question and answer session, ma'am.
Or you would like to say anything for the participants, ma'am? You would like to add on any points?
Okay, so I really don't know who are the audience for me. They are from college only, right? Engineering college?
Yes, ma'am. Many faculty and students, both are there. Both of them are there.
So you will be having this kind of facility in your college? Some sort of clean room or some sort of fabrication facilities?
We have actually started with a laboratory facility for this etching laboratory setup we have established right now. And we are doing our work in using IntelliSuite and Console right now. Almost 3 of us have been there in IISc Bangalore for INUP training. Okay. So with that experience, we are actually sharing things with our students and research scholars as well. From that MEMS Design Center, almost three PhDs have come out, so we are very happy to say that. And we are holding little good publications too. Hope to increase the count in the future years. This set of participants are a mixed crowd from various parts of the country. Okay. If you would like to give any additional information to your
yeah, actually, this main this is like very vast topic. It's like so many things are involved in this single mains. We are talking about materials also. Even now, recently, there are so many new materials that are being utilized in this mains technology, apart from the conventional one. So it is like huge scope in this, and maybe like if someone wants to ask something, if they have been doing some of this kind of work, I I am doing so many projects. I am a part of so many projects in IIT Madras, and I'll be working on thin film coating mostly. And I have worked with this pattern watches, and recently I am even doing some work for this COVID-19 also, so that we can get some kind of antibacterial coating also. So if someone have been doing this sort of work and they want to ask something, maybe I can initiate.
Okay, that is very nice. A question from the participant side. If we are using gold and diamond as materials, won't that increase the cost of the device?
Actually, we are not using that in bulk. We are using maybe some nanometer of gold, maybe say 10 nanometer is sufficient for the contacts. And for diamond also, we are not using the crystal of the diamond. We are using the CVD, synthetic diamond. So that won't raise the cost as we are thinking. It's not like that.
Okay. Actually, I did my PhD in optical MEMS.
Okay.
Do you have anything to say about optical MEMS, especially about mirrors? And what is actually the place of research in your center related to optical?
Not really. Actually, we maybe in electrical department we have these facilities of working on this optical MEMS, and they have clean room, everything they are having. In our lab, especially, we are having the thin film coating lab, and we have this HFCVD. We have sputtering units. We have all sort of this characterization technique from TEM, SEM, Raman, everything we have in our lab. So not narrow down to the optical MEMS, but yeah, in general we have so many facilities in our lab.
Okay, ma'am. Okay. What about the use of conductive polymers in MEMS? Any idea about that?
Yeah, so mostly conductivity is we will think it is for metals, and if we can include that in polymers, so as polymers have other properties like they are flexible and they are transparent also, so they have used scope in various applications because of its own properties.
What are the important parameters that has to be analyzed before choosing materials?
For
this
what?
Is a question participant.
Like for which kind of application you are looking for?
Okay, it depends on the application.
It definitely depends on what you want to do, what you want to achieve. Accordingly, we can choose the material.
Okay. Okay. What is the best way to learn COMSOL? This is
I don't know that.
Okay, fine. Impact of materials in MEMS now, ma'am, can you just talk about the currently emerging materials?
Yeah,
Any
actually,
of them?
some of them like this gallium oxide. That is some new material that has been improvised in this. and maybe some nickel oxide. In recently, some publications they have shown like the sensors what they are using, the metal oxide layer now it is of this nickel oxide. And, and already this gallium arsenide, these materials have been already in use, but the more compound of that gallium oxide, and this graphene.
Oh, graphene. Okay.
Graphene, yeah.
Does graphene come under micromaterials or nanomaterials, no?
Yeah, it's like it can be 2D, right? Like it is in the form of sheet. Then maybe it will come in, yeah. So it depends on the dimension of that sheet. Yeah. So maybe the thickness will be in nano range, but the length and width will be in maybe micro.
How about the choice of materials, ma'am? Will that have the impact on device performance?
Yeah, definitely. Like it depends on what application you are looking for. Accordingly, you have to choose your material. Say like if you want to use some diffusion barrier, so you have to go for material like this silicon nitride, or if you want to go for metals, it may be molybdenum because that is like hard material. And if you are looking for high conductivity, then maybe you can look for some metals or maybe some conductive polymers.
Okay. There is one interesting question, whether the outsiders or researchers can use the facility in IIT Madras?
Yeah, of course, we have all facility you can use, but you have to pay for that. Actually, not always for payment, but yeah, if some specific thing is there, you can always mail to professor, and then maybe you can visit our lab and you can use it. We have this SciF also is there, and maybe yeah, so many other labs also they are doing for, even we are doing for outsiders. Even people from this Anna University, every way they are coming and we are doing calculation for them.
Okay. So we have to come with a simulation model, ma'am? Everything proved in simulation?
Yeah, but at least some basic characterization you could have done. Like if you are coming for Raman, so at least you could have known the structure of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And one more question is, what is LPCVD? Could you
low
please
pressure. It's low pressure CVD. So it is like normal CVD only, but in this case, the pressures are in 100 to 500 millitorr. Maybe if you have idea, you can think it is 0.1 to 0.5 millibar. If someone is working on a deposition system or maybe vacuum system, they may understand. So these are very, very low pressure. That's why it is called low pressure CVD. So the process that will be very much precise and conformal.
Okay. Okay. Could you please comment on the influence of nanomaterials in microsystems?
Yeah, so it's like MEMS. So maybe next is MEMS only. It is like nano micro electro system.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you will reduce the dimension of that, it will come to nano range. That's it. So definitely, yeah. But in coming to nano range, maybe different kind of limitations you have, and then the properties will also change completely, because if you will look for some nanoparticles that have entirely different property as in micro or maybe the bulk. So yeah, definitely it will be different from the bulk and micro.
Okay. Is graphene a suitable material for BioMEMS operation? This is
Yeah,
from
because so this diamond-based material, carbon-based material are biocompatible. So
a participant named Anuj, he or she wants to know that I'm working on biofilms of bacteria. I'm looking for some sensor-based approach to sense biofilm matrix. Any idea what kind of material I should go for? How to choose the criteria for deciding the material? Should I have to repeat the question once again, ma'am?
I'm just reading that it's there in the chat.
Okay.
I think for doing this, they have some standard test for characterizing this. Some maybe in some in our lab, not in our lab, in some bio chemistry lab, they having some bacterial culture kind of thing. I am not having much idea about that.
Okay, ma'am. Is there any open source software to see the performance of materials?
Open source, I don't
know. Okay. What are the softwares available for simulation in IIT? This is from a participant.
So maybe actually attached with all the instrument we have its own software. So it is not like available so everyone can use it. But yeah, if you are using some facility and you have to analyze that, definitely you will have software related to that.
Yeah, apart from selectivity and sensitivity, what are the other parameters to highlight the material?
Maybe it's all the properties of the material, like mechanical property, electrical property. In which sense you are asking, like what you want to highlight?
This is actually a question from participant.
Okay.
Yesterday he was actually sharing with us that he's doing his research in MEMS.
Okay.
So if he raises his hand, he can ask the question on his own.
That means I didn't get what he really wants to know.
Yes. Kaustubh sir? Okay. Probably he's not there. Is there any alternative ask? Is there?
I think it's there.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Good morning. Good morning, ma'am.
You can ask your...
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So, ma'am, actually, I am doing my research work using micro cantilever. So far, whatever study I have done, only they have discussed about selectivity, sensitivity using different materials. They have changed the materials and they have shown it. So apart from sensitivity and selectivity, even though I have studied and analyzed about mechanical properties also. So any other parameters you have, ma'am, or you can suggest, please?
For cantilever, maybe if you will go for mechanical studies, that will be because the cantilever should have the tolerance, for its working condition, right? So,
yeah, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so maybe if you will, so what application you are looking for, like for what you are?
Ma'am, as a gas sensor for environmental monitoring and as a biosensors for early, like suppose if any breast cancer is there, or means for biological terms, ma'am, as a biosensors.
Okay. So
one last question. Is there any alternative cost-effective approach to do patterning on substrate instead of photolithography?
It depends on what you want to do, like because photolithography can go to nanoscale. So that's why patterning is needed at that level. If you are doing for micro level or something, maybe normal masking can help. Like we are doing the thermal evaporation, we will just put a mask on that and then we will deposit, maybe for gold contact if I'm talking about. So it's if you are going in that range, nano range, if your structure, what you have to make, that is in nano range, then maybe you have to go for photolithography, definitely. Otherwise, you can have alternative if it is in micro range also.
And ma'am, one more question, one last question I want to ask ma'am.
Hi.
If you will permit. Ma'am, actually, since we are working in private college as well as doing, so every facilities, to be very honest, it is not there. And whatever facilities are there, maybe in documentation wise, to be very frank. So, so my doubt is, ma'am, if we are doing some kind of research through simulation or through crack version of software, definitely we are putting our best, means whatever best we can do, we are doing hard. But ma'am, since there is no mentor to tell whether it is a correct or not, actually people want the publication, but there is no mentorship, ma'am. So is any possibility if we will come there to IIT with our whatever, it may be right thing or it may be wrong thing, up to our level best, is it possible to get some kind of guideline from IIT professors, or what is the way to approach? Any idea if you will give me, it will be very fruitful for us, ma'am.
So in general, I'll say, if your work is interesting, definitely if you will write to a professor, he will respond to that. Okay, or otherwise, like everyone is busy, right? So
yeah.
So it's like that. So definitely, but if you have some doubt and if you want to ask, so you sort out the professor, you try to mail him or try to go and meet him. Like not now everything is closed.
Yes.
But later maybe you can show, if you will put your efforts, definitely they will respond. So it is like that. So if you, maybe you have to just choose which professor is working in that line and that field, what you want to ask. And then maybe you can just try to contact him. Or maybe not even professor, if you will contact his students also, that is also helpful.
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
So because students may be working on similar kind of simulation things, and so even some few people, if they'll come to our lab and they will ask some doubts, we are trying to help them. So it will work like that.
So for that, any letter do you need, ma'am, from working institutions? Do you need any letter?
So if you are doing some characterization or something, then maybe if you just came to inquire. So okay, if you want to do further, then maybe some rules and regulations will be there.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, Castro.
Thank you, ma'am. My pleasure.
We pray to God, and we could understand the feelings, whatever you have, because we also belong to self-financing college. We pray to God that you're getting. We also faced all these problems, but slowly we actually explored what are the things we can do. So in that sense only, we actually went in for Indian Nano Electronics Users Program provided by IISc Bangalore.
Yes.
So there are resources, but you will have to search with patience.
Yeah, yes. So, thank you, ma'am.
Ritu ma'am, thank you so much for your interaction session. That was
pleasure.
And
actually, one more thing I want to say is, like, it's not like in IIT we have so much facilities, but they are also down so many times. So it's not like we are happily working. We are also struggling sometimes. But yeah, as compared to other people, we have so much more facilities. We really enjoy.
Okay. That was actually a wonderful interactive session. Hope the participants have enjoyed a lot and got more information. So thank you so much formally for that once again.
Okay, thank you so much, participants, and ma'am, you also have a nice day.
And thank you so much for your patience to pre-record the video and send it to us.
Yeah, actually, it's because of, like, my daughter having classes same time, so it will be clashing. So that's what I don't want to make any disturbance for this. So I thought I would record and thing.
Yes, yes. It is actually a very big challenge that we have to go through all these disruptive technologies.
Yeah, we have to find our own way.
Yeah. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. Okay, bye. Take care.
Yeah. Bye. Thank you. Nancy,
Yeah, ma'am.
shall we finish up the session formally?
Yes.
The instruction and the quiz for today's session.
Yes, ma'am, sure. So we thank all the participants for joining with us today. Hope you all would have gained knowledge about materials for MEMS, and the session would have been really benefited you. So most of your questions are also answered by our guests today. And next, our upcoming session is on fabrication processes by Dr. Bharati Rajeshwaran, postdoctoral researcher, Bar Island University, Ramat Gan, Israel, scheduled on June 24th tomorrow from 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. We request all the faculties and students to attend the session and get benefited. I repeat, our upcoming session is on fabrication processes by Dr. Bharati Rajeshwaran, postdoctoral researcher, Bar Island University, Ramat Gan, Israel, scheduled on June 24th tomorrow from 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. So learning never exhausts mind. So enjoy the course and extend your fullest cooperation. The link for today's quiz will be posted in our WhatsApp group and in the chat box now. So we request all the participants to kindly finish the quiz of today's session before 11 p.m. today. So meet you all in our next session. Thank you all for your wonderful participation and stay safe. Thank you.